The primary difference between Michael Jordan and any other player in the history of basketball is that Michael Jordan was never considered to be the biggest or the strongest or the most athletic player of his era, and yet he dominated everyone he ever came against. He inspired the best out of his competitors, and then he demolished them and demoralized them at every chance he got. Some people will make the argument that Air Jordan, with his 42-inch vertical jump, was ahead of his time. But you look at people like Dominique Wilkins, who easily could have taken some of his dunk contest titles, and was equally as explosive in game as Jordan was at that same time. Or you can look to his predecessors like Dr. J, Julius Erving, who was doing a lot of the same fantastic moves that Jordan was doing. Perhaps not as elegantly, but certainly he was doing those at a time before Jordan, and the athleticism was there. But Michael Jordan was a meager 6'6" and 200 pounds as a shooting guard, which is now the standard, and that was big for back in that time. And certainly to us mortal humans, that's a massive man. But Michael Jordan played in the golden age of the NBA big man. He played in the golden age of the center, where guys like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Hakeem Olajuwon and Shaquille O'Neal, those are three of the top five right there. Guys like Patrick Ewing and David Robinson and Dikembe Mutombo and Sabonis, these are some of the guys at the center position that Michael not only played with, but had rivalries with. And these are guys, 5 of the top 10 centers to ever play the game. And those are just the centers. Then you have to look at the golden age of NBA defense and physicality in the 80s and 90s. Look at the teams that in order to stop Jordan, they had to throw everything at him, like the Detroit Pistons and even the Boston Celtics, who were not as ferocious defensively, but you got guys like Larry Bird and McHale and Parrish, and these are all big men, more or less in and of themselves. Michael Jordan had to play in the most competitive era that the NBA had ever seen, being drafted with guys like Hakeem and Charles Barkley and Clyde Drexler, and right before that Patrick Ewing and all these guys, and Karl Malone and John Stockton. All these guys at some point he would beat. He never got to play Hakeem because he retired, but no doubt he would beat Hakeem because Patrick Ewing and the Knicks were taken to 7 games by just Scottie Pippen, and they weren't able to beat Hakeem. I'm sure Michael Jordan, people say that would have been the toughest challenge of his career. It might have been, but he would have been able to rise to the occasion. So you compare Michael Jordan to LeBron James, who has always been considered to be the biggest, the strongest, and the most athletic guy in his era. There has been no one that's ever wanted to challenge LeBron until Kevin Durant. And it's funny how as soon as Kevin Durant gets the crew and he comes for LeBron's throne, he's able to take it twice in a row. Kevin Durant has become a better player than LeBron James, and he's doing the most important thing you can ask for on a team sport, and that's help his team actually win the games. So if LeBron is such an incredible athletic specimen, he has no excuse to be losing more than he's winning, twice as much as he's ever won, especially when he's never come up against a competitor that can match his skill set. So if he's so good, then why isn't he able to rise to the occasion? So the main difference between a guy like LeBron and a guy like the greatest of all time is that Michael was a go-getter. He never had to defer to anybody. Sure, it was nice to play alongside a Scottie Pippen and a Dennis Rodman at some point, It was great to have Phil Jackson as a coach. But Michael took his own destiny into his hands. You can see that in any of his highlights. It was Michael in the final moment of his career in 1998, before he went to play for charity. He took that shot and he made that shot, and he shut everybody up. That's the Michael Jordan that we all know. That is the killer and the chiller and the thriller, Michael Jordan. LeBron James, if he truly makes his teammates better, then he wouldn't have had the finals like 2011. He wouldn't have lost to the Dallas Mavericks. He would know when to be alpha and when to facilitate to his teammates. I mean, his teammates are so bad that he could surely put up some better numbers than he does. Playing with guys like Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, both in their prime, that's honestly more help than Jordan ever had. Playing with one of the best shooting guards to ever play the game, an elite scorer, an assassin, and Dwayne Wade, you come into his city and playing with his franchise, and you bring in Chris Bosh, who's one of the best defenders in the game, one of the best two-way players in the game, and you're not able to beat the Dallas Mavericks, and then you lose to the Spurs. You should have lost twice to the Spurs. Alright. And then you playing with a Kyrie Irving. He's a bad man. Kyrie Irving is an assassin. You only won because of Kyrie Irving. You couldn't win again. So, if you're LeBron James, and you've got all of these abilities, but you don't have the balls to take what you need to take, you've got to go and join all these mercenary teams. You don't have any faith in your city. You know, that's not the greatest of all time. That's a marketing ploy. There's no coincidence. There is a coincidence that Michael Jordan retired in 2003, the same year that LeBron finally came to the NBA. It's also a coincidence that LeBron was born the same year that Jordan was drafted, and so Jordan's career and LeBron's life overlapped, and then LeBron's career and Jordan's final retirement overlapped. But the real coincidence is not so much a coincidence that the NBA has mass-marketed LeBron to be the next Jordan, because Jordan leaving the sport is a void that will truly never be filled. And so they have to manipulate the media and the message and suggest to you that LeBron is somehow better than Michael Jordan, just so they can keep their money coming in. When really, Steph Curry is the face of the NBA. He's the one that's actually changing the game. People want to shoot like Steph Curry. They want to play like Steph Curry. They want to make their teammates better like Steph Curry, something LeBron has really never done. When LeBron went to the finals in 2007, everybody said he had no help. Well, then how did he get there then? He put his teammates on his back, and we saw, honestly, one of the best performances of all time in those playoffs. But ever since then, he hasn't been sure what he's made of. So that's the main difference between a guy like Michael and a guy like LeBron. Michael, he was by far in the best and most stacked era of NBA history. He was still the best player, and he did whatever he needed to do legally to win. And he never lost, because when you put a team around him that believes in him as much as he does in his teammates, and he knows that he's the man, he's going to be the man every time.